Welcome food fans, picky eaters, the flavor curious, and everyone in between. Nothing makes good food better than good conversation. And your table is ready. Come right this way to the Food for Thoughtcast with your host, Melissa Reagan. But you can call her Chef. All right, let's get this episode started.
Hi, welcome back to the Food for Thoughtcast. My name is Melissa Reagan. As always, you can call me Chef. I'm joined today by Chef Steven Gonzalez. What's up, Steve?
Hey, what's going on?
And Chef Ernie Estrada. What's up, Ernie?
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on the pod. Welcome back, Steve. Always good to see you. I want to ask you both the same question I ask every guest every week. What is the most amazing thing you ate this week? Ernie, you're up first.
It's just stuff we're cooking at work. So we made a nice little chicken with mushrooms and some truffle sauce. And that's pretty much it. You know, little truffle zest, little cream, bring it to a boil and put it over whatever you want. It's pretty good.
It sounds amazing. I think I would just eat it off the spoon, to be quite honest.
Exactly.
What about you, Steve?
I actually spent pretty much all day making pork shoulders and baguettes and practicing my old culinary school stuff, but I made a Cuban mostly from scratch. Made the pickles from scratch, bread from scratch, pork, and yeah, it was awesome. I usually don't do dill pickles, but I added a little bit of dill to my own pickles, and I gotta admit it was pretty good.
Yeah,
so
you're coming over to the dark side with the dill.
Yeah.
I like it.
That sounds pretty good, Steven. That's pretty awesome.
Slowly but surely, yes.
Did you do a traditional yellow mustard, or did you do something else?
Dijon.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
I love a Cuban sandwich. So you guys, Steve texted me earlier that he was making Cuban sandwiches, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want one of those right now. I've been thinking about it ever since. That sounds awesome. I love it. Did you use Swiss and ham, or did you do anything different?
I did. Yeah. So it was the roasted pork, some honey cured ham, baby Swiss, Dijon, homemade pickles, and then, you know, again, the homemade bread. It was funny because, like, it's baguettes, so of course they're real skinny and all that, so everything's just kind of falling out, so you have to be real, like, stingy with how much you add, so that way you're not, like, getting it all over your hands and arms and stuff, but it was good.
You don't have to be stingy. You just have to get the stance right. You have to eat it over a trash can, like hunched over.
Exactly. Yeah, I saw those pictures, Steven. Those are nice, man. Your baguettes were awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, the baguettes looked really good. I saw those on Facebook earlier. I haven't made a baguette since I failed that pastry baking class in culinary school.
For not making them in about 10 years, you know, I'm not disappointed with the flavor at all. I will say that.
I love it. Ernie, I have to know the story. How do you know Steve?
Started way back when. I told him to alphabetize his French fries, and then the rest is history. He'll tell you the story.
All right, come on with it. Don't leave us hanging.
That is no joke. We worked at a hotel together, and it was the upstairs, downstairs. Upstairs was like the nice fine dining, and I was brand new out of culinary school, and I'd be working on tickets, kind of wondering what am I doing. And this guy comes downstairs and says, I need all these fries in alphabetical order, and these chips need to be assorted by weight and volume. And, you know, you just kind of wonder, like, who the hell is this guy? And next thing you know, we became best friends.
I love it. I think everybody in the industry has an Ernie, I think, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I always tell everybody, like, it doesn't matter where you go, what corporation you work for, kitchens, you know, it doesn't matter. Banking, you always run into the same cast of characters no matter what. So it doesn't matter what you run into.
Yeah, whether good or bad, I think every single job is like, there's one of these guys everywhere. One of these gals everywhere. What makes it so special in our business is that, you know, there are lifelong relationships formed because we're choosing who our family is on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, exactly. And you can walk into any place, any banquet, any function in the world, And nobody cares if you're a doctor, nobody cares if you're a movie star. They always come up to you, a chef, and they want to tell you what their favorite food was or their favorite experience was, no matter what. They always look out for the chef, you know? So that's pretty cool.
I always tell people that a chef's uniform is kind of like a superhero costume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very
It's
much
true.
so.
If I change into my regular clothes after a shift and go to the grocery store, I'm just a regular person. But if I'm wearing my chef uniform, all of a sudden, everybody in the store is asking me how to cook this particular thing. People think I know. People think I know where certain items are. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I really hope you don't go to the grocery store in a chef coat. I really hope you're not one of those.
I do because I don't. It's just extra laundry, dude. Like I go everywhere in my chef uniform.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
That's what undershirts are for, my friend.
it's probably
So
another.
no one will bug you and ask you, what's your favorite
Yeah.
thing to cook?
I just go naked. I'm good.
Oh God. I can lament the fact all day, but then somewhere, I also like it just a little bit.
Yeah.
It makes me feel important. It makes me feel useful and special. All right, so tonight I just want to talk about San Antonio. I think there's some special knowledge there on your part, and I want to talk about what the food scene looks like, what your favorite things are, what do you think the future is of the food scene there, and let's get into it.
Yeah, San Antonio, man. I mean, it's everywhere. It's just like that movie, everything, everywhere, all at once. Like, if you haven't seen that movie, you gotta see it. It's pretty good.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie.
Is that the name of the movie?
Yeah. It's awesome. But I mean, that explains all of San Antonio. Like, it's everywhere right now. If you want good Korean, it's here. If you want good Spanish food, it's here. I mean, you name it. We have all the cuisine going on right now. We have Lebanese pop-ups coming up once, here and there. And I mean, it's just cool.
How long have you been there?
All my life.
All your life.
Born and raised here in San Antonio. San Anto. That's right.
How did you get into food, Ernie?
Since I was 10 or 11. Back in the day, we had great chefs of the world on PBS, and I would watch it all the time. And then I would be watching Three's Company, and then Jack Tripper was a chef in there, and I was like, that's pretty cool. They never showed any food or anything, but
Right.
I thought that would be a cool trait. Learning from my grandma, just learning from my grandma and my mom, and all my aunts. So that just kind of grew into just being in the kitchen all the time. I was the only really boy allowed in the kitchen most of the time. I was always on my grandma's side,
That's a high honor, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So I learned a lot.
So were they very regimented, or was it like, hey, like you have to put love into this, and we can tell when you're not loving the recipe that you're making? How was that?
It wasn't like that. It was just like, here, do this. Boil some water. Go outside. Fill up the tina, right? So you fill up the bucket. Get some water inside, because we didn't have running water inside. We had it all outside. We had an outhouse. I grew up in the barrio.
Was it a well?
We did have a well. We did have a well. We had a well, and we had water from the city, but the well tasted better. But yeah, you just fill up buckets, you bring it inside. We would heat our water. We didn't have a water heater. So everything was just like, here, this is your task. Do this task, and then we'll go from there. So that's how I learned.
I love that. What's your earliest food memory, or what's the first thing you learned how to make?
The first thing I learned how to make was egg.
I think a lot of the times when it comes to making eggs, I think that's where a lot of us start, and we think just basic scrambled eggs, but then there's such an art to it. You learn how to really appreciate eggs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning new ways to make eggs at
Me
37.
too.
I went through a phase of my life where I would only eat them scrambled, and then, man, I went through this sunny side up phase, and now it just kind of depends on the day. Sometimes I can do it, and sometimes I'm like, ugh, no thanks.
If it's like Benedict, it's got to be poached, but then everything else, if it's like a burger, it's like, let's do over medium, so that way it's not completely running down my arm. You learned how to make eggs. Was it like just straight up scrambled, or like what? How did you learn? What did you learn?
Because I love runny eggs. Like,
yeah,
I like the whites runny. I love the yolks runny. And so my grandma used to call that panza para arriba, which means your stomach is up, your up stomach, pretty much.
Oof.
So that's what she used to call Sunnyside eggs because they looked like the stomach was popping up.
Yeah.
So she called it panza para arriba.
That
So
sounds terrible.
that's what I would make. The Sunnyside eggs.
That makes me happy. That sounds good.
All the gringos know them as Sunnyside, but in my household, they were called panza para arriba. So that's what we learned how to make.
Nice.
Those are the first things, yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And
then we moved on to goose eggs. That was great.
Are you serious?
Yeah, feed a family of 4 with 1 goose egg. That was great. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then y'all moved on to ostrich eggs after that, and then T-Rex eggs, and
no T-Rex eggs, pterodactyl eggs.
So then, did you ever notice a difference in like just the way the cooking was like from your grandma and your mom and aunts and stuff like that? Like,
yeah, nobody cooks like my grandma. Nobody cooks like my grandma. I mean, you can tell through like the Mexican bread pudding, like the capirotada. Nobody cooks like my grandma.
I love capirotada. Oh my gosh.
It's so good. But my grandma made it special because anytime her stories were on, the novelas, she would put extra bourbon on it, so we would all go to sleep. so she could watch her novellas in peace. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'd be drunk and passed out, and she'd watch her novellas.
I mean, I think it comes full circle, though. Like, as an adult, you're like, I'm going to put extra whiskey in this. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Yeah.
But, those are the special touches, It's pretty awesome.
Are you keeping those traditions alive now?
I do once in a while. I do. Like the panza para arriba we still have here in the household. The first things I teach my kids when they were little was eggs. And then I would teach them how to make popcorn because popcorn's a big thing for me because I love popcorn.
I remember that, man.
Yeah,
I totally remember that.
Yeah, I love popcorn. So I taught all my kids how to make popcorn.
He taught me how to make popcorn.
Just regular popcorn on the stovetop or anything special?
Yeah, on the stovetop. In a pan. A little oil, a little butter, done.
Do you ever do it in bacon grease? That's what I like.
Oh, yeah, bacon grease. That was my grandma right there. All bacon grease. We had our little special tin that we had on the stove, and all the bacon grease went in there. Yeah.
In my mother's house, it was a Dallas Cowboys coffee cup with tinfoil on top at the back of the stove. So,
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, but we would put any fat in there. It could be chicken fat. It could be beef fat, bacon fat. Like, it was all mixed together. So it was every fat. It wasn't just bacon fat.
Yeah, anything you had. Do you ever like anything special on top of your popcorn? Or is it just you cook it in whatever fat you have available? Are you just a salt guy?
My guilty pleasure is Uncle Chris's seasoning.
Steak seasoning, yeah. That stuff is super good. If you've never had it, Melissa,
no idea what that is.
Yeah, but Uncle Chris's seasoning on there, a little paprika, some cayenne. I learned the cayenne from my daughter because she loves cayenne on stuff. And
I'll have to send you a bottle, Melissa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, it's so good. The
Steak
Uncle Chris's
seasoning?
is so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
It's what mostly MSG and all that. That's what makes it taste so good, right, Ernie?
Yep. It's all MSG.
It always is.
Yeah.
So at home, if I'm gonna make popcorn, like I just have to confess, I like the microwave stuff. It's just fast. But I like to do Old Bay sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm a really big fan of the Utz Chesapeake crab potato chips, so I like that flavor on other things too. Like I like to put it in chicken salad, and I like to put it on popcorn a lot. But I also like everything bagel seasoning on a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
Where it probably doesn't belong, but it's really good on popcorn.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the little crunchies. I don't know, something about it. I think it's mostly salt, to be honest. But
yeah, it's all salt. Yeah, and
it's like
MSG.
Salt,
if you can get some MSG in there, you're good.
Salt, sesame seeds, poppy seeds, and MSG for sure.
Oh, of course.
I'd be kind of intrigued to do like some sort of like Asian themed popcorn with like a little sesame oil, and your teriyaki and soy and kind of stuff like that,
Right.
I wonder how that would turn out. I can remember back in the day when Ernie and I worked together in kitchens, he'd always be playing music, and it was always, a lot of like a big mix of stuff, Van Halen, and he'd play out like a lot of NoFX and Rancid. And at the time, growing up in like the early 2000s, late 90s and whatnot, for me, punk music, I was so used to like the pop punk, like the Newfound Glory, the Blink-182 and stuff like that. And I was thinking, NoFX, I know of them, but I've never really listened to them. And then because of Ernie, I became a big fan. Rancid, the same thing. And I'd seen Rancid, but I never really appreciated them until I actually started really listening to them, and that was all thanks to Ernie. And just, I can remember cooking, listening to punk music or just any kind of good music, something that was catchy, and just having a good time. And you can definitely tell that it reflected in like the overall mentality, the overall environment. And we just had a blast cooking. And I mean, you could just tell compliments would just be rolling in because of that,
Yeah, I mean, well, if you're in a good mood and you're cooking with love, it's always going to make a huge difference. Like, I think you can always tell the finished product for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It was always fun, right? Steven and Francesca's, dude, we had so much fun.
We did.
Yeah, nobody messed with us. Nobody just, it was such a good time.
We worked a lot, but even then it did not feel like that because we were having too much fun,
Mm-hmm.
So it was a blast. I loved it.
How did you get your start in the business?
Started working at Pizza Hut, and this is on the east side of San Antonio. So it was on the corner of Rigsby and W.W. White. So right there in the middle of the east side. So I lived right around there. Very dangerous side of town. And it's funny that you asked because I was just telling these stories today. Somebody asked me, it was like, what was your best memories of being a chef? And it was way before I was a chef. And it was at Pizza Hut because we had such a good time there. And I remember this one specific time where we had a to-go order for a pizza, and I had my Coke. I had a Coca-Cola on the top shelf right over the pizza, and I reached to get it, and it spilt onto the pizza. And then my manager saw it, and he was just like, you know what, just put some cheese on it, put it in the oven, let's get it out, right? So we got it out.
That's terrible.
Yeah. And then, wait. It went through the oven. And then all the Coke caramelized on top of the pizza. So it was like crunchy. It was like glass, when it cooled. And then he cut through it, and it was like, and he was like, I'm going to send it out. He sent it out. And about 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, we get a call back and saying, hey, I don't know what you did to the pizza you sent to my house, but we want another one.
I was going to say, I can see a good ending from this story.
No, it was.
That's how it always
happens,
awesome. Though. Like something unexpected or unintentional. And sometimes you can't even remember what you did in a certain instance, right? And somebody goes like, oh, that was the best one. Like, can you make it again? And you're like,
Yeah. And that guy always called back, and he asked for the same pizza, And we were stuffing crust back in the day because most of the staff was stoners, including myself. And, and we would just stuff crust and just make like stuffed crust cheese pizzas. We would do all kinds of crap, So that's pretty much my best like memories of like not even before I was a chef. Those are just fun memories. And then I remember, I would tell you this, it has nothing to do with being a chef, but I just remember this guy came up because we're on the east side, and he came in, he held up the store, and he was just like, I want everything out of the freaking cash drawer right now. And then my boss is just like, Roger, I know that's you. Don't make me call your mama.
That's awesome.
And he walked out, and he fucking walked out, and it was so funny. It was so funny. Yeah, so that was the one time we were held up, and we got to keep all our money. So funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah, so those are my favorite memories from that. And then after that, like I said, I've always wanted to cook and stuff like that. I was at Big Lou's before Big Lou's became big here in San Antonio. They're known for those big pizzas and burgers and stuff like that now. But I started with them when they were on Rigsby, and they were just a little mom and pop pizza shop, and I started there. I worked there for 3 months, and then I moved on to Pizza Hut after that. And then after that, I was just like, I graduated out of high school, and I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And then I remember driving around with my cousins and my Uncle Fidel, and I got a speeding ticket. And we had to go to court for that. I had to go to court for that. And that made me choose, like, dude, I have to do something in my life or I'm just going to keep getting in trouble,
Yeah.
So my grandfather helped me pay off that ticket. And then I enrolled at Gary Job Corps there in Bastrop. And that's history. I got to Bistro Time on Fredericksburg Road here in San Antonio. Really cool chef. He was Dutch, and he taught me everything I know. He was a good guy. Helped me out a lot.
I think those are the best kind of stories.
Yeah.
Ernie, do you still talk to him?
He passed away already.
Oh, did he? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he passed away, man.
Man.
Passed away about 5 years ago. But no, he was a good guy. I remember the one time he fired me, and then so really good story. So I screwed up a bunch that day. Like I was hungover, and I was just like cooking crap and sending it out and not really caring. And he was just like, he would call me US, right? So I didn't ever knew what US meant until he sold the restaurant. Like, so he'd always call me US. So anyways, I'll give you the ending to that. But he fired me. And then, so I was like, you want me to go home, chef? And he was like, yeah, just go home. And I was like, all right. And it was a Friday, right? And we were closed Sundays and Mondays back in those days. And so the next day was Saturday. And so he was like, you're fired. Just get it the hell out of here, in his Dutch accent, right? And I was like, all right, I'm leaving, chef. And he was like, I was like, all right, see you tomorrow. And then he goes, see you tomorrow. He goes, see you tomorrow. And I showed up to work the next day. Showed up to work the next day, and the rest is history. And then he sold the restaurant. So those days, like that whole week, I was like, hey, chef, like, what does US mean? Like, you always call me US, but I don't know what US means. And he was just like, it means ugly shit.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And I told that story to my grandma, my grandfather at the time, and my parents, and they were just, everybody laughed because it was funny. It was so funny. All those years working for this man, and he was calling me ugly. That's just such a great story. Right? Yeah, never knew.
One of the first jobs I ever had, this guy kept giving us recipes, and he would say 2 KS of this and 1 KS of that. And I finally asked, like after a month there, I asked one of the other cooks, I was like, what does KS mean? And he was like, kitchen spoon. And I was like, that's not a unit of measurement. Those are all different sizes. Like, it just blew my mind. Like, I was just like, what is going on?
Yeah. As long as you're not baking, you're good.
Yeah. But they had all come to accept that that's what it meant.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those weird things. And I would even see it written down like K.S. And I was just like, what? Yeah.
I will say though, I remember when we worked together, I did get to meet Hans, right? Because that was his name.
Franz.
Franz, there you go. Yeah. I always confused it with Hans and Franz. Anyways, but I used to be the prep cook there, and he went in for dinner one night, and I was making the stocks and a lot of stuff like that. We had, what was it like? Was it an antelope chili? I don't remember what the hell it was. But
yeah, we had the chili. We had the antelope chili.
Yeah, the following day I went into work, and Ernie was like, "Hey, man, Franz really loved that antelope chili, and he said he could definitely taste all the flavor in the stock, this and that. And so I wanted you to know that." And I'm not gonna lie, like that just made my day because Ernie talked so highly of this guy Franz, and for him to compliment the stuff that I did, it made my day. Like, it was just awesome, and it just kept like when you hear about people who are hard, give you like one compliment, it makes you want to work like 10 times harder,
Well, there's two ways it can go when you get feedback like that, right? You can either just give up and say, I don't want to do it. Never mind. I don't want to do this. Or it lights a fire in you to try even harder, whether it's because for pride or spite. But when somebody's hard on you like that, it can really push you one way or the other.
Yeah.
I'll let him tell those stories, but I'm not going to tell him. But I pushed Steven.
We had a handful of disagreements.
I pushed Steven very hard. Very hard. I did.
And honestly, the only thing I can say is that it made me, what I am today. It's given me a lot of good insight on how to layer flavors, things like that. My wife always tells me, I just love the way that you layer it. If you name like 6 different ingredients in one recipe, I can taste every single one of them because that one's not overpowering of the other.
Right.
And that was because of Ernie, calling me out on when I'd cut corners or when I would actually, really try. So, yeah. Thanks for that, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we had some fun, man. We had a lot of fun.
I had my very first beer with Ernie, too. I think I was 27 years old. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We would always remember the old Hills and Dales days.
Uh-huh. I took you out underage, remember?
I think I was 19. Yeah, I was 19.
I took him out underage. It was so fun. Oh my god. Yeah, I was like, don't come inside. Just stay outside. I'm gonna bring you some beer, and don't worry about it. Like, we're okay. We stay outside.
Yeah. We always had fun, and it was funny because like there was a point where we would always try to like talk, what's next? What's the next big thing? What's this? What's that? Or we would always just like, I would always try to say, hey, Ernie, you got to try this. Oh, you got to check this out. Oh, check this out. It's just kind of like the younger generation trying to prove themselves to the older generation. But not only that, it's just like, let's talk food and music.
Always food and music, man.
And that still holds to this day. We've been friends for what, like almost 20 years now at this point?
Yeah, pretty much, man.
And we still talk food and music. That's all we talk about.
Yeah, he keeps getting uglier and I keep getting handsome, I'm more handsome, he's more ugly. Sorry, Steven.
Well, at least my dogs like me. My dogs tell me I'm handsome.
Yeah. No, we had some good times, man.
You can always count on dogs for that. They're good like that.
Mostly because I give them food, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They know where their bread is buttered, for sure.
And it's cool because I remember this other time, Ernie and we were hanging out. I think that's when Matt was playing with Ready Revolution, and we went to Taco Land or something like that, Viva Taco Land.
Yeah.
And I remember just having the best bean and cheese taco in my life, and it was just a simple bean and cheese taco, and yet Ernie would tell me, dude, you got to try these. These are so good. And we went back, at least three times to get more bean and cheese tacos?
3 times, man. Yeah. I don't know what they did to those tacos, like the bean and cheese, because they were refrying them on a flat top. But I don't know what they're adding to it. Like, it was so freaking good, man.
To this day, I don't think I've ever had anything that good.
Yeah, and it was just a simple bean and cheese.
Depending on how often you're cleaning the flat top or how well you're cleaning the flat top, it could be like the grease of your ancestors.
Yeah, or the roaches or the ants that are on there. You never know. You never know.
It's just an extra flavor. That's all it comes down to.
It's extra. It's like the 100-year soup, but it's just that layer of film that's on the flat top.
Yeah, for real.
I still need to take you to the Mexican restaurants out here next time you come and visit, and you're just gonna notice a world of difference. Like from San Antonio Mexican food to West Texas Mexican food, it's night and day, dude. It's so weird.
Yeah,
so weird.
Well, I believe it.
Let's talk about some of those differences for somebody like me who has no idea.
Okay, well, I don't know, Ernie. What do you think about San Antonio Mexican food?
I think it's very Texican. That's that's my word. Like,
yeah,
it's Spanish, it's native, it's German, it's Polish, it's like everything all rolled into one. So it's a little different here in San Antonio because we have everything here, So the further out you get from San Antonio, you get to Fredericksburg, it turns more German, it turns more Polish and less Mexican,
Yeah.
But the closer you get to the border, the more honestly, the more you get to the border, like where you're from, Stephen, the food just gets way better because it has those cultures like embedded in every flavor down there, and it's just way better. Like the botana platter, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you have to explain the botana platter, but I had never had one because we didn't have them in San Antonio.
Really? I thought that was
no, we never had them here in San Antonio.
That was a normal thing.
So when we got past Alice, Texas, going towards more in the south, past Alice, there's the botana platter, and I was blown away by a botana platter. Like, holy, you get all this for the same price as an enchilada plate? Like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, explain the botana platter. I don't know if you remember what's on there, but
So botana platter is one of those things where it's got a few different types of fajitas, whether it's chicken, pork, beef. Every now and then you'll look out and get like shrimp or something on there, but it has like the sides, the rice, the beans. It comes with the tortillas, the guacamole, the sauce. Like it can feed a family of like 10, and it's only meant for like 2 people,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's a deep South Texas thing. And I guess, like I said,
yeah,
for me, it's been normal. So now that I think about it, I've never really asked for that up here in West Texas. I should
yeah,
just to see the look that I'll get.
yeah.
But
Because it's not there yet. Like, and
yeah,
it's been in South Texas for 100 years already.
yeah,
And it's barely reached San Antonio. You know,
and
like
it's
in a
weird.
hundred years.
So when you come
Yeah,
close to West Texas, of course they don't have that. It's a little bit different style Mexican food because it's like a lot of people from El Paso live out here, and so they put like fried eggs on everything. And fried eggs are always good, but I'm not used to like a fried egg on enchiladas. Or if you roll up a taco for us, they call it a burrito. So like for us in San Antonio in the Valley, burritos are huge, like they're Texas size.
Right.
And even if it's just like a small, for us, we call it a taquito because it's small. They call that a burrito. It's like, this isn't quite the same. It's weird.
yeah,
And, you do have some places that are very authentic, but then you have like the places that it's just like traditional Tex-Mex where it's like rice, beans, and whatever else you want. So it's totally different.
yeah.
I do miss Valley Mexican food,
Hmm.
Even San Antonio Mexican food. I still
Yeah.
kind of miss that from time to time.
Now it's more colonized. More for the gringos now. So a lot of cheese, a lot of sauce, very little meats now. Like honestly, like very little meats. Like I ate an enchilada today, like a beef enchilada today, and it was more like a picadillo in there, but it was
Right.
very little beef. Like there was no beef in there. It was filled with cheese and onions, something cheap, and but very little beef now because the prices are going up too. It wasn't an enchilada that I was used to, and I was just like I was gonna complain, but then I was just like, the price of everything's going up, so
Yeah, I mean the grocery inflation's been a
yeah.
real thing.
But
Like
that's
you
what I
said.
noticed. Like San Antonio foods is like real cheesy, real bad for you. Let's put it that way.
So
you know?
I think the last time I was in San Antonio was probably maybe 2006 or 7, and I had a chili relleno that seemed like it was the size of my face
Yeah.
at Rio on the Riverwalk. So,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
covered in cheese and deep fried, and it was amazing. But I also needed a nap afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. You did. Yeah, you did. And don't ever eat at Rio again. All right.
I wasn't
You don't
planning
want
on
to
it.
eat there. You
I
don't want to
wasn't
eat there.
planning on it.
Yeah.
No, it was like a moment
No.
frozen in time.
No,
It was
it's good. No, it's good. It's sinful good, but it's not good
well,
for you.
but it was
Yeah.
before I
Yeah.
knew better, right? Like
Yeah.
now, I mean, and not just for Mexican food, but now in San Antonio, you have the heavy hitters, or at least
Yeah.
what I would consider on the culinary side, right? Like you have like Biga, Battalion,
Mhm.
Southerlies, Bohannon's, Bliss. You have all the different. There's a lot of chefs down there. They're doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Now, Mark Bliss, he would cook me under a table because he's so old school. I would not compete against Mark Bliss. Hell no. I ain't competing against that.
See, that's why I've always said if I ever open up my own spot, it's going to be a sandwich spot. But you know what? It'll be the best sandwiches you'll ever have.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I don't want all that fancy steakhouse stuff, homemade pastas and all that. Although that is lovely, but
Hmm.
good old fashioned sandwich, that's all
Yeah.
you need.
But that's what you say, you know? And when it comes down to it, you're like, I need a pasta on the menu.
Right.
and,
Like making it from
and I
scratch.
want to make it from scratch. And then all of a sudden, there you are, back
Man,
at
a pasta
square
house.
one. Back at square one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Ernie, when you were coming up in the business, did you cook predominantly one style, or did you learn?
No, I mean, I mean, Franz was a godsend because I'm total Latino. We do have Apache in our family, but we never really practiced it, So it's mostly Latino. So anything Franz would bring to the table, because he cooked. He was European, so he cooked Dutch food, he cooked German food, he cooked Polish food, Indonesian, African. I remember we had pho on the menu. We had pho.
Mm-hmm.
We had pho on the menu, in the 90s, and nobody was doing pho in San Antonio, and nobody knew what pho was, and we had pho on the menu for 1 month, and nobody ordered it because they didn't know what it was. And now it's everywhere. Working with Franz, I mean, I've learned a lot. I tried everything, because I loved food. I wasn't scared to try anything. Anything you threw at me, I would eat it. It was all delicious,
Coming up in the industry, if you cooked one style more than another, or
No. Well, I've always been interested in like ancient cooking. I've always been interested in ancient cooking, like Native American, Mayan, Incan, all South American.
Yeah.
Anything ancient, anything old, like the Moors. The Moors were the ones who created like modern day cooking, like grilling and boiling and steaming and stuff like that. Along with the Chinese, And I learned a lot from the Moors, about the Moors, from Mark Miller, which was our consultant chef, And I would ask him those questions, like, where do we get some of these cooking styles from? And he was like, you get them from the Moors. So of course I was good. I looked into the Moors, and there it was. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know anything really. I did research a lot of, like Steven would tell you, I researched a lot of Incan, Aztec, especially Mayan, because I love Mayan cuisine, and it's just so good. And now it's super popular. I mean, if you go to a Chipotle, that's Mayan cuisine. Like it really is. They use a lot of ingredients that the Mayans did.
A lot of Ernie's menus were always themed, and the cool part was that it told a story. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I never really thought too much about it until I took over Francesca's, and even then it was, you got to tell a story of like, where are you getting this product from, but also you're telling a story of a dish that means something to you. And I always thought that was just one of the coolest things ever. Because customers read it, and then they want to know about it, And as you tell it, when you go talk to the tables and you're talking to the customers, you could definitely tell that they're very intrigued with what you have to say, and they're holding on to every single word that you say about that dish and what it means to you and the history behind it. It's just a really cool concept. There was a lot of stuff that we did in that kitchen that was just a lot of fun. And I mean, the stories, I wouldn't trade those for the world. There were so many times where Ernie would tell me, dude, you need to go to New York. You need to go to California. You need to go experience, the world and the food scene, this and that. And I was like, no, I'm good. I like where I'm at. I would rather try to build a food scene here. Of course, it didn't happen in my lifetime because I got burnt out, but the experience that I got working with Ernie and in San Antonio, I wouldn't trade that for the world at all. It meant so much to me that I chose to live there over like the food meccas of the world. That's just how much fun we had.
Well, the cities that call themselves the food meccas are even the known, food cities, right? Like New York and Chicago, Miami and Boston, San Francisco. Those places are great to visit for inspiration and for recreation and things like that. But they're very expensive places to live. But as, chefs and people who are fans of food, it's really great to go expand your palate once in a while and explore and taste new things and be inspired. But man, visiting somewhere and living there is just two different animals.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
And of course, being in the food industry, it doesn't pay, you're not rolling in the Benjamins, as one would say. And so, yeah, you're just trying to make ends meet most of the time.
We didn't get into this business for the money.
We didn't?
Did you?
Boy, how misguided I was. So at work, with Mother's Day being very recently, I helped our floral department, make a bunch of arrangements, things like that. And we broke our record for the store. We did really well. Everything just went really, really well. I was very fortunate to where my bosses of the store were talking to like our big bosses. They're saying, Steven came in early he came in a day early from vacation because our floral manager ended up getting COVID, and he just ran with it. He led everyone, and the arrangements were just amazing. And the big boss was saying, well, yeah, it's because Steven's a chef. Like he does very well with creativity. It's art for him, and so for him, it's something amazing. And he's not wrong there, but to hear like my higher ups give me that compliment and, things like that, it just really made me feel validated in what I do, and how much fun that I have. And it didn't feel like, yes, there were times where I got stressed out, but there were times where it was just fun,
Well, let's talk about what the food scene in San Antonio looks like to you, Ernie.
Well, it's coming up. So it looks like we might get a Michelin star restaurant here soon with Robbie Nolan.
Wow.
One of my buddies, and Steven knows him. He's running 3 restaurants right now. Alora, which does it's
Italian,
like Italian, but it's Italian specific. I forgot what area it's in. And he's doing the Maverick. He redid Maverick downtown, which used to be a dump. That place used to be dump, roach-ridden hotel. Never had a restaurant in it, but they revamped it and it's beautiful now. And he's doing one other place. I forgot what it's called. Starts with an A as well, but I totally forgot what it is. But yeah, he's doing some great stuff over there. But the food scene's really good now. From what I've seen, it's like getting more. Everybody's aiming for that Michelin, like one Michelin star, at least one Michelin star here in San Antonio. And you name it. You have all the Korean donut shops coming up, and with the Korean corn dogs, and it doesn't matter now with Michelin stars, as long as you're doing really good food, have a really good following. So it's hard to say what will hit in San Antonio. It really is. Because I can open a hot dog shop on a cart downtown and I'd probably get a Michelin star.
It's funny that you say that because I think there's a handful of hot dog carts that are popping up here in Midland. And I mean, they're not shooting for the Michelin star, but they're just shooting to make a good hot dog. And a lot of them succeed.
Do you have any favorites, Ernie?
The food scene out here in Midland too, it's growing quite a bit. I remember when I first moved out to Midland, I think McDonald's was in the top 10 for TripAdvisor, stuff like that. But now there's a lot of restaurants that are opening and people who actually care about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can't say everyone, but and I don't like to toot my own horn, but I do have a handful of restaurants that say, man, we do value your feedback. And they always call me Chef Steven, and I'm not used to it. But it's just no, man, just
sorry.
Just put up a good dish. It's all that matters, man.
Right. Ernie, I was just asking if you had any favorites in San Antonio, any favorite restaurants?
Well, I mean, I spent $300 at Alora, so that's probably my favorite restaurant right now.
So that's Amalfi Coast cuisine for the listeners.
Yes, exactly, Amalfi Coast. It was really good. Robbie wasn't there, but that food was still amazing. It was all scratch made. You could taste the love from all the chefs in there. It was really, really well executed. It was delicious.
I need to treat my own city. So I'm from Dallas. Originally, I grew up in Garland, which is a suburb, but I just say Dallas because nobody knows where Garland is unless you watch King of the Hill. Propane. I mean, it's an amalgamation of 3 different suburbs.
I'll tell you what.
But I'm really guilty of. I will get into my habits and routines here, and I will only eat like a tourist when I'm on vacation, or not like a tourist rather, but like a food traveler,
Yeah.
And I will not seek out new, daring, exciting, or more expensive options just in my hometown. But I really need to get back to kind of exploring in that way through food, because when I travel, it's what are we going to eat? Where are we going to eat? Not what are we going to see? Not what are we going to do? It's what are we going to eat? And I need to take that approach with this city.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine up there's a lot going on, no?
Oh yeah, there's a
No.
ton of things going on, but because of the hours I work, I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, makes sense.
But if you're San Antonio, if you want some like really good noodles that are handmade, go to Kung Fu Noodle here. They only have one location, all handmade noodles. So you want some really good pho, like it's so good. If you're lucky, they'll make steam buns that day. Most of the time, they don't. But yeah, there's some really good, affordable markets here in San Antonio. So you can get whatever you want here, honestly. If you want really good sushi, just go to Yellowfin. They have really good sushi there. And if you want like really good tacos, like you can go anywhere in San Antonio and get really good tacos. Just don't go to Torchy's. That's a joke.
We were just talking about that, Ernie. We were talking about that before you got on, Ernie.
I'm not a fan of Torchy's because
I told you.
I got in an argument with the owner. It's because I got in an argument with the owner.
So I was mentioning to Steve before you came on and before we started recording that I had gone to Torchy's this evening to get some tequila and a beer and chips and queso. But it's like one of the closer bars that's open on a Monday to my house.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna go drink, hell yeah. No, I'm just not a fan of Torchy's because I got in a fight with the owner because my tacos had no flavor, and I was like, "Hey, can I have some salt and pepper?" And he kept saying, "No, they're perfect." And I'm like, I wouldn't be asking for I wouldn't be asking for salt and pepper if they weren't perfect, And I was like, who in the hell charges $7 for a taco?
So you were saying there's incredible tacos all over San Antonio, but let's go like if say you want authentic Mexican, where's the place to get?
Well, I wouldn't say authentic Mexican. I would say creative Mexican, which is Tacos and Salsa is my favorite taco shop here in San Antonio. There's one on Wurzbach. There's one on Hebner here in San Antonio. They know you by name. Like if you go more than 3 times, they know you by name. Mm-hmm. They know exactly what you're going to order. They know if you want coffee with cream or no cream or whatever by the 3rd time you show up. With the thousands of customers they deal with every day, and they know if you're new, and then they know exactly what you're going to order the next time.
So what about tacos and salsa, and then what about like more interior Mexican, like a pollo bibio or something like that?
You got to go to Paloma Blanca. They're on Austin Highway. They have the most authentic Mexican food in San Antonio. They really do.
Nice.
If you want a really good mole negro, you go there. Their mole negro is good.
I love it so much.
It's so good. If you want authentic Mexican flavors, you go to Paloma Blanca on Austin Highway, man. That place has never failed me whatsoever.
So I'm going to put all the recommendations on the website at www.foodforthoughtcast.com so that our listeners can check it out if they're ever there.
Yeah.
And shout out to one of our listeners, Craig Harmon. He has been a dedicated listener since the beginning. Thank you so much, Craig. And he lives in San Antonio. So yeah, here's a list for you, buddy.
Go Craig.
Go Craig.
We love you, Craig.
What else? What about some other types of food? So you mentioned Kung Fu Noodle and Yellowfin for both noodles, steamed buns, and sushi. We've got Italian on there, but any other?
Mediterranean, if you want like good like naan bread and like Turkish cuisine and like kind of Indian, you go to Pasha here in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Pasha's delicious. Don't order anything that has bread with it because they automatically give you bread and the dipper, like the za'atar dipper with the oil and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so good, and that'll fill you up on its own, honestly.
Za'atar is so underrated.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, it's so good.
I feel like it's making a real comeback though, because I see it all over TikTok.
No, yeah, it's so good. It's delicious, and so you go to Pasha here. Like Pasha's been here forever.
You also got to go to Pacific Moon too, because that's one of my favorite spots.
Yeah, Pacific Moon's awesome. Hey, Steven, what's that Italian restaurant that's right there on Culebra? where I met you and Ursula. Remember? She lived right down the
man.
street from there. That place was so good. Like I take everybody there now when they come see me and they're like, I want spaghetti or I want to go to Olive Garden. I was like, hell no. You're going to this place. And I don't remember the name of it because I just know where it's at, you know? So we just drive over there. But it's so good. Really good authentic pasta, like really good. I mean, they don't make their own pasta, but the sauces are great. You know, the meats are good. Really good wine selection and really good bread. It's a really good Italian food.
No dice. She doesn't remember either. We're
Well,
just gonna
you
have to
guys,
go.
if you
We're
guys
gonna have to
think
go
of it,
drive by next time we go to San Antonio. Man.
Yeah.
if you think of it, let
Yeah.
me know. Is it possible that it is Umberto's?
I'd
It,
tell you, but I'd be lying to you. So
it's not Bortos, I think so. I think so. I honestly do. That sounds so like it.
That's the only thing
yeah.
that I see on Culebra.
And that's it. That's it right there.
It has
It's
to
by
be,
a it's by a oil change place.
It's in a strip mall.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's in the corner. Yeah. Yeah. That place is
The
good.
power of the Google.
You know, so you know
Yeah.
what else is really good is Golden Walk, like, and not just for Chinese food, but like they always do
Ooh.
dim sum on the weekends.
For dim sum, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, Golden Walk.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Miss Betty.
We would go not all the time, but we would go from time to time, and we would just eat until we had to be carried out because, I mean, you just can't say no to all those, delicious baskets full of awesome food. Whether it's the bao, what else would they have? The shumai and so
That place is so good.
Everything was good.
The chicken feet. Oh my God.
Yes.
The duck tongues.
Yeah.
My God, dude. I'm so hungry now. I hate you. But those gelatinous chicken feet with spice and stuff. Oh my God, those are so good.
You just need to get together for a good solid hour of eating. Like that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Most definitely.
That's the thing about chefs is we can fit a lot of food into a very short window.
Yeah. We can. Oh yeah.
So Ernie, is there anywhere else that if somebody who's never been to San Antonio, if they're going on a food adventure, is there anywhere else they have to try besides what we've already talked about?
Well, all I gotta say is go to the south side of town by Brooks Air Force Base, by Stetson Field, which is for like Cessnas and stuff, airplanes, and by the old drive-in here in San Antonio. It's still standing. They still show movies, but it's no longer a drive-in. Go around there, and find the new restaurants that are popping up over there. Because I don't know all of them. It's the new, the pop-ups over there. They're so good. There's so many restaurants popping up over there. Brick and mortar. Because that's the new destination. Because it's real touristy. A lot of missions on that whole street. You got the Hot Whales, where we used to do the first dinners before they reopened. You can visit the Hot Wheels now because it's a state park, and just go there. If you have to go anywhere in San Antonio, go to Brackenridge Park. Go to the zoo. We have one of the best zoos in the nation. Go to the south side. Go by the Hot Whales and visit all those restaurants that are popping up over there.
Are you saying wells like where you get water?
Yeah, Hot Whales. So it's like spring fed. It's the Hot Wells. They're trying to reopen those, so it's all spring fed and they're all hot. They're all heated by the core of the earth. So they're actually hot wells. You can visit all that. Visit the new restaurants that are popping up and the food trucks, which are awesome. You can visit my friend Timmy's place. She has a food truck called Reservation Only, meaning res, because she was born on the res there in Arizona and in Navajo country. So she does fry bread. She does, powwow dogs, which is wrapped in fry bread with the hot dogs. So she does a lot of Indian tacos. So she's awesome.
I love
that. They have a lot of good food trucks there.
I haven't had a reason to go to San Antonio in a long time, but it sounds like I just found one. So
yeah, exactly.
And then you let me know, and then Ernie will be our tour guide.
I'll take you on the tour.
I love it. Well, there's not much more dangerous than 3 chefs let loose on a food city. So
Yeah.
I kind of can already feel my pants getting tight. But there's something particularly special in our business and in this industry about mentors and mentees and the kind of relationships that you form when you're coming up through the ranks. So thank you so much for giving us a chance to get to know you. And we want to have you back on in the future for sure.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, so fun fact is, if Ernie was not on this podcast tonight, he'd be in his front porch whittling wood, screaming at kids that walk by, probably taking naps on his rocking chair, and he'd have a roll of Werther's Original in his pockets too. You know,
Exactly. That's me.
Old people, right?
And some black licorice.
All right. Well, Chef Ernie, Chef Steven, thank you so much. Y'all have a great night. That's a wrap for today. Until the next episode of the Food for Thoughtcast, make good food, eat good food, share it, and be kind to one another.
Thanks so much for listening today. You are part of what makes us special, and we are so glad you joined us. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave a review. Just like food, delicious podcasts are better when you share them with others. Come back for seconds wherever podcasts are served, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Food for Thoughtcast.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Food for Thoughtcast or at www.foodforthoughtcast.com, where you can link to all podcast players, or you can send us an email at foodforthoughtcmc@gmail.com.